Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am April from Teach Travel Read, and today I'm going to show you how to create your own curriculum map using Google Sheets. This is one of my best sellers in my TPT store, but I know there are a lot of people out there who are a little more do-it-yourself. And so I want to show you how I started creating my curriculum map to get you started on your own teaching journey. So grab your favorite beverage, sit on back, and get ready to learn. Okay, so the first thing to do is obviously go into your Google Drive and create a new Google Sheets. So when you do this, this is just going to be completely blank. There's nothing there. That's totally fine because we're going to get it to where we want it. You can format it different ways. I'm going to give you how I format mine. Once I already have the template, then I just reuse it from year to year. So I don't do this every year. But if you're wanting to get started on your own steps, then this is a great way for you to do that. So what you want to do is if you click up in this box right here, this actually will apply everything to your entire spreadsheet, which is amazing. It does save a lot of steps and a lot of time. So we are actually going to format these cells so that they are all the same size. We're actually going to make them very small, which is going to seem strange, but the reason that we're going to make them so small is because we want to be able to put information in and make it very easy to manipulate later on with a smaller cell size, and it makes it easier to see and do everything that's right there. Okay, so the first thing we are actually going to do is we are going to insert some new columns because we want to make sure that we have plenty of columns for our curriculum map. So if you do that and you just click over here, let me actually do it so you can see it here. You can actually insert columns. Okay, it doesn't matter if you do left or right at this point. We're just going to insert a bunch of columns. Okay, so then you can see we've added 26 more columns. We'll just start with that. Then you want, if you're on a Mac, click Shift and then click the columns. It's going to highlight all of the columns. Then again, click that drop down and look where it says resize columns. Well, that says A to AA. We actually want the entire spreadsheet. So we're going to try that again. So highlight that one, click Shift. Now it says resize columns A to AZ. This is 52 weeks worth of columns. So I'm actually going to resize this to 25, and you'll see why when we get later into our curriculum mapping. So here you can see we have all of these columns. Makes it much easier to see. Well, we're going to do some formatting and do some different things with this, but this gets us started with that. In terms of how many rows, it just kind of depends on what you're wanting to include in your curriculum map. I'm just going to go down to 100 rows, and I can always go back later and do more if I wanted to. But again, we're going to Shift, click all of those rows, and we are going to change the size of these rows as well. Okay, so on this one, you can see it's already set to fit to data. We're going to change that. I'm going to actually change this to 50. And then you can see it makes our rows a little bit wider. Again, you can format this however you want, whatever makes the most sense to you. There's not a right or a wrong way when it comes to including this formatting. It's really personal preference and what you like. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to undo that because I personally don't like them that big, but you can format that how you want. So the first thing I'm going to do up here at the top is I'm going to make some headers for the school year. So I'll show you an example of how I like to make mine. Again, you can do it how you want to on your own personal preference. So you can see, like, here's a template that I have already created. So if you're interested in purchasing an already made template, I do sell that in my TPT store. You can find it. But I like to put in my weeks for the school year. And you can see I have multiple spreadsheets for the different quarters of the school year. So again, you could divide up and make multiple sheets. I'll show you how to start with one and then easily duplicate that into more sheets so that you don't have to keep doing this over and over. But so I'm going to start with this. I'm going to say, okay, here I want my subjects. Here I want the weeks for my timeline. This information, we're going to talk about where that is. And then you can see I have the months, and then I just have it color coded. Again, you can format that however you want. Okay, so now I'm a person, I like a lot of bold black and bright colors in my design. So I'm actually going to, again, click this box right here, and that's going to apply to the entire spreadsheet. When you click on here, you can see there are different options for what you can do. So when you click here, you can have the color for the borders. I'm a black border person, so I'm going to do that. But I also like it to be a thicker line, and then I want every box to have a border. So when I click there, it's going to apply that to everything. Again, you can format that however you want. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my first 5 columns. I want to merge these columns, and so I don't want them in different small little cells, so I can just click merge cells, and that's going to format that. Okay, you can also do it if you want to just do a little bit at a time. So let's say I want to go from here down to maybe my first 5. Okay, then I'm going to click merge again. Now, the great thing is, instead of having to do that every time, you can literally just drag all the way down, and Google Sheets will actually do this for you, which is an amazing thing. I love it so much. So then you can see it automatically creates those cells for me in rows of 5 at a time, all the way down through where I want it. And I could always continue and do more and more and more. Okay, so then what you can do is you can actually select those 5 columns in that first row and merge those cells. Then if you type week 1, you can see it automatically types that in there. And then again, just drag this all the way over to the end of your spreadsheet, and it will automatically finish the weeks for you. If you need to add some additional weeks over here, you can just, again, insert to the right as many as you would need. Okay, so I'm going to leave that undone for now. Now, if I want to have a specific font, different coloring, there are different ways you can format this. I'm a little weird about when it comes to fonts and different things, so I am going to do some formatting here. One of my favorites is Didactic Gothic. I do like a lot of bold. I like things to be centered for sure. And then I'm actually going to make these in a specific number. So like, let's say I want to do that one for now. I'm going to delete that for now because I'm not sure if we'll need those. But then you can see we have that. Okay, so then we have all of our weeks at the top ready to go. Here's where you can put your subjects, your units, your standards. Really kind of depends on how you're creating your curriculum map, what you want to do, but you have lots of options for what you can type over there. So I'll show you some examples here of what I do in that column in a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to leave this next row blank because we're going to put some things in there later. Let's do 3 rows, merge. We're going to call that month. Okay, I'm going to format that how I like it. Boom, there we go. Okay, so now we got all of that included. Okay, so then what we're going to put in here are actually the days of teaching. Okay, so I've tried to find an easy way to do this, and I just haven't found one. So like when we put in our dates during our school year, so let's say this is the first one, then we have, this is the second day, third, fourth, fifth. Now you'll see the problem is if we highlight and drag over, it will actually continue with, oops, I typed something wrong there. It will actually continue with including the weekends, and there are formulas you can try to use. I've tried them. It's just so complicated trying to get it all finagled when you're going in rows as opposed to columns. So the best way I found is just to hand type it. It's kind of tedious, but that's the best thing to do in order to just be more efficient when it comes to this. So I'm just going to keep going with that. Okay, so now I have everything there ready to go. Again, I can format this to meet my needs of how I want it to look. So if I want to make the font smaller on the dates, if I want the font to be bigger, I can change the width of all of those columns to make it a little bit bigger. So it's really up to you and how you want to format and do those things. So I could resize those columns, and maybe I want to make those 40. Let's see, does that make it a little bit bigger? Again, you can play around and tweak it. I personally, again, like everything to be on one page here. So I would probably just make my dates smaller because that's not that big of a deal to me, but that's my personal preference. Okay, so then we have our weeks ready. We have our dates in there. We have this part called the month. So this actually is we are going to do a little finagling here. So I'm going to unmerge that. And then I'm going to just remerge some cells here. And then I'm going to change this to the actual name of the month. And you'll see I'm going to merge these cells. Okay. And then I'm going to name that August. Okay. And then the same here with all of these. Merge those, and I'm going to change that to September. Again, you format it to be what you need in your own personal design and what you prefer. Like, I don't like that, but I do want that to be bigger. Okay, so I'm going to just do that. All right, so then we have all of that ready to go. Our next step is going to then decide how we want to format the rest of this, and when we're ready to do this with our subjects, maybe, or your standards, or however you're creating your template. Is it maybe you're creating a unit curriculum map? It really is just kind of up to you and how you're creating your curriculum map. So I'm actually going to do mine by subjects first, and then I can always go back and add in some things later. So thinking about my schedule throughout the day, we start with our morning meeting. I can already tell I'm not going to like how that's formatted. I like things to be very centered. Just a little bit of my OCD with how I like things. So we have morning meeting, and then we have specials. That's not something I'm going to put on my curriculum map, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so then let's say I have math next. Then I have my ELA block, and let's say I'm going to break it down into actually, let's do ELA and let's do grammar. Okay, actually, let's just call it grammar because that seems redundant. Okay, and then let's say I'm going to break it down into reading, writing, and let's see, I'm going to have science or social studies. So actually, let's just call this content, because of the way it's formatted. And I'm going to change that so that it wraps. There we go. And let's change that so it creates a little more. And see, I'm just very uptight about how certain things look. Okay, so then I have that. So then let's see, morning meeting, math, grammar, reading, writing, content. I do have some extra things here, so I can always go through and add some more things as I want. Okay, and then it's really just about formatting it how you want it to look. So since I have the basic thing here, what I can do instead of having to recreate this sheet every time, I can literally just duplicate the sheet. It's going to make a copy of the sheet. So now you'll see when you go in here, you're going to have to do some tweaking. So maybe make a copy of the sheet without the dates and the months first. And then you can actually change this. Let's say we change this to week 10. Then we can just easily change that. It's going to change all of that information. We can easily delete and unmerge all of those cells so that we can, fix these things right away. So if I'm ready to start a new date here on, wow, my dates are off, then I can just do that and go all the way over. You know what? I could just do, maybe that would be a workaround in the system. Yeah, I could do it that way. And just drag over for those dates. Okay, so that's going to be the 14th and go all the way over. Then we're going to do the 21st. Hey, there's a little workaround that actually makes it a little bit easier for us. And then we have the 28th. I'm going to go over. Then we have November 4th. And go over. Then we have November 11th. And drag. November 18th. And drag. And then, woohoo! November 25th, and then drag over again, and then we can just kind of format. So there's only one day for September, so I'm just going to merge all of these into October. I like to see when the months are. That's not a necessary thing for you to have in there. That's just a personal preference for me. And again, I can do that with all of these November dates. So I have that again ready to go, and I want my bolded. Voila. Okay, and then I'm going to fix that in the rows so I can have those dates where I can easily see them, but not having to be right there in the face. Okay, and so I would, again, like I said, I would recommend not putting in the dates or the months yet, just doing your headings on your rows and your columns, and then you can easily duplicate the sheets, and then that way you don't have to keep changing that all the time. That's what I personally recommend. Now, if you're a color person, there are different ways that you can do the coloring. So if you actually click back up here in this box and you click formatting, you can actually click alternating colors, and it's going to give you some different styles. So if you're interested in a certain style, you can create a custom style. So let's say I like a lot of black in mine. So I'm going to say, okay, well, I want this throughout, and then maybe I want to have another color here. You can pick one of the already made colors. You can leave it as is, into however you want to create your curriculum map. It's really up to you. So now when it comes to actually typing things in, you have some different options of what you could do. So in my original curriculum mapping template, I always just did something like this, like maybe, the first 20 days of school, we do something specific here. So then I would merge all of these cells and I would just type in first 20 days. Okay, and then I'm like, okay, well, I know what that's all about. I don't need to make a big to-do out of that. It's going to be the first 20 days. Maybe I want to be more specific, though, and I want to say some specific things that I want to do during these first 20 days. So let's say I just want to do first 20 days here, or maybe even there. And again, I can merge those cells. That's the first 20 days. And then here I could be more specific. So let's say for this first week of school, I want to put in my first day of school or let's say first week of school activities. Okay, so then I know, okay, here's what I'm doing for the entire week of school. I want to make sure that I have all of those activities in there. And then now maybe here I'm introducing them to a specific first 20 days thing. So maybe this one, for example, let's say it's teaching about kindness or expectations or recess. So let's say kindness. Let's maybe say in the second week of school, we want to cover and keep reiterating some of those expectations because, the first 2 weeks are kind of our honeymoon period and then things get real. And then maybe that fourth week of school, I just want to kind of wrap up and review some of those things. But then I want to make sure that my students are still doing those things. So maybe some goal setting for the year. Okay. So again, you tweak it to however you want. You can format and you can make copies of the sheets. You can change how things are laid out. You get to do it however you want. But this is a great way to get started with curriculum mapping. And I highly recommend that you use Google Sheets because it does make it easier to work on adjusting things throughout the school year, and it makes it easy to plan from year to year. I hope you found this tutorial useful and that you can go and create your own curriculum map. Remember, if you do not want to start all the way over from scratch, I have created a curriculum mapping template for you using Google Sheets. I also have other versions available if you are a Microsoft user, or if you like to print it out, that is also an option available. Just check the links below. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up for liking it. And remember, I love this journey for you. See you next time.